Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Heal the Healer, Mami Goddaughter Conversations.
Alafia, everyone. Welcome to another Heal the Healer, Mami Goddaughter Edition. We are so glad to have you here on this Sunday. We always begin giving our respect and gratitude to those who came before us and who give us the authority to be in this space. So I want to start by giving recognition and honor to our home temples here in Benin and all of the temple keepers throughout the ages who have protected and steward and passed on the sacred knowledge. I want to give great honor and respect to our great matriarch, Mano Nae Bujidao Nemaso II, who is the global leader of Nazia Fa Spiritual Institute. I want to give recognition to our home temple, Nazia Fa Spiritual Institute of North America, with a physical location in San Diego, and the founder and leader and my spiritual mother, Mianu Ananasi. And of course, I want to give gratitude to my own ancestors and the energies that walk with me in this life. And I greet you and your ancestors and all of the energies with you. So glad to have you here, or whether you're watching the replay. Today's discussion is going to be on fasting. So we have started on our website and also Substack a new blog. And so each week we will have different posts submitted by different temple adepts on various topics. And so this is a really exciting new series. And this very first one that we have, I did a reflection on fasting because right now we are in the middle of Kadam. And so that is one of the topics that has been coming up for me during this time period. So I guess I will begin by asking my sister Angmasi, what your feelings or your familiarity with fasting is.
Alafia. So my familiarity with fasting, how are you? Good. Okay. My familiarity with fasting really started in the Christian church, actually. There were time periods where fasting was like required, maybe like through the end of the year or during some time period. And so that's really how I came into knowing what fasting was. It was always a spiritual thing. Um, and it was always like in a way to, I guess, like answer prayer or get something that you needed in your spiritual walk. And so, in that way, I see it a bit similar to how we are fasting in traditions. The other way that I've been introduced to fasting is through like health and fitness. You know how it's like intermediate fasting, or just like fasting on certain foods, uh, or certain foods. And so that is also like to gather a goal of reaching your, weight targets or health targets. And so those are like the two main ways that I've been introduced to fast prior to traditions. But I find it interesting that, like, in both ways, it's a way to like reach a goal, or have a prayer answered. And especially like in traditions, it's a way of like reaching a higher level, um, reaching a higher spiritual level. And so, um, yeah, yeah, those are the couple of ways that I've been introduced.
Nice. Yeah, you made such a good connection there. That fasting is something that goes beyond just religion. It's something that also in the mainstream is done. And so I, even though I know both are the same, I never quite put those two like together like that. So I'm glad that you pointed that out. Um, Elafia Ifitope, how are you doing on this beautiful Sunday?
Alapia. I'm doing well. I am in the midst of traveling and thought I would just hop on to say Alapia. Um,
Nice, nice. Well, safe travels.
Thank you, thank you.
Do you have any familiarity with fasting?
Yes, sort of like, excuse me if I butcher this, but Agbansi, similar to her experience, introduced, of course, initially, as a Christian, the fasting portion of it, um, and then into the fitness portion of it. Um, so that's where my fasting experience has come from.
And what would you say was your experience when doing the fast? What was your initial like reason for starting a fast? And then as you were doing, what feelings came up?
Um, so in previous religions, doing the fasting was as a collective, and um, I guess it would say I was younger, so I really didn't, I guess, understand the feelings that came up. It was just more so like, well, why are we not eating? Those kinds of conversations. Um, and not fully understanding it until, of course, I got older. But in the fitness portion of it, it seems it's like you get into this space and everything seems clear to me. The clarity was more. And I don't know if it's because I would guess it would be because you're not focused on, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it, but it was just in a space of more clarity, mental clarity during those fasting periods.
So as a adult now, have you done fasting for like a spiritual reason? You said that you're familiar with doing it for fitness. Was your goal when you went into it for your fitness um, fasting? Was it for weight loss or a specific reason?
Some was weight loss, but spiritually, it was as a collective, just to, I guess it was a period where I was just coming in to spirituality and wanted to make sure that, like I said, that clarity, because that I had experienced previously, um, making sure that I was in that space to either gain that knowledge or to purge out whatever I needed to move out of the way so that I could be the best me in that space.
Nice. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Do you find yourself doing fast regularly, or is it just once you kind of get to a point where you are starting to feel like you need to do one?
So no, I don't fast regularly. It's more so if I'm in a, I need to, I guess, get into that space. Um,
Mhm.
but no, I don't do it on a regular. I have fasted from certain things. Um, so like sugar, sodas, things like that. I try to drink more water, um,
Mhm.
versus it just being a complete fast of everything. Um, I find that works a little better for me, just purging little things at a time versus jumping in. Now, I have done the fasting for no food for extended periods of time. However, um, in the last couple of, I guess, maybe years, it's been the little things at a time.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I touched on in the blog post was, oop, or maybe it didn't actually end up in this particular post, but one of the reflections that I've been having is on making fasting personal, right? Because like you, I very similarly, I would fast in group settings. I've never been one who's like, "Ooh, I want to do a fast," or "I want to do a challenge." I'm just more of like, "Okay, this is what we're gonna do." Then, all right, I'm in, because I don't necessarily like depriving of myself of things that I enjoy, um, but that can be very performative sometimes. And so I have been reflecting on the purpose of fasting and having a clear intent, and then correlating that with fasting with things that will help um, to like reach that goal, or to, get closer to spirit, and using fasting specific things as a way to clear that kind of like channel or show spirit that I am like serious about this particular topic. So I really like that you say that you like to fast specific things, and that kind of helps to keep you regulated. So when you have done fasting, what are some of the results that you've gotten? Do you always see results, or is it sometimes just something that you have done?
So no, not always seeing results. Um, and I think it's more so of the consistency around it. So it's just when I'm in that space, it's like going back and sitting like, okay, what did you do correctly or what could you have done better? But no, I haven't always seen results. But I'm a person that kind of reflects like, okay, in any situation, like what could I have done better? Maybe next time, what can I add to that? And then accountability, having someone, an accountability partner for me has worked. Um, so yeah, to answer that question, no, I haven't always seen results.
I really love how you frame that though. So, because it sounds like even if you might not have gotten like the intended results, it's you still are like learning and growing, which is one of the things that fasting promotes is, getting better and elevating. And so I love how you said that you reflect on the process and things that you could do better and things like that. And so, because that's really like the general thing that we're trying to do in life, right? Like growing, and learning and getting better. And um, do you ever find yourself having any negative feelings when it comes to fasting, or maybe not being able to completely fulfill all of the fast requirements? What kind of emotions come up when that happens?
I guess the negative would be me just not holding myself accountable, um,
Hmm.
and I get not reaching that goal. So, like if the fast is a 14-day fast or a 20-day fast, I'm not reaching that goal. So that would just, for me, be the negative portion of it. Because ultimately, if I'm not doing what I set out to do for the fast, I'm not reaching that end goal of whatever. Um, if it was weight loss, if it was for clarity or answering different prayers, um, ultimately, I'm not reaching that. So, excuse me, that would be, I guess, my negative takeaway from that.
Yeah, sorry, I would like to chime in on that one, because it just made me think about, like, when you said, are you seeing results from the fast? And well, from fast in general or in the past. And I remember that, like, when we were in the Christian church, let's say, or I don't know what other organized religions, but for me, um, we weren't really, I don't remember fasting for like a reason outside of Jesus fast for 40 days and 40 nights, and we must sacrifice too. Or Daniel fast on fruit, and we must do it too. Like, kind of like more focused on like the suffering side of it. And in that suffering, like I guess, you received blessing, but I don't remember that side of it. I just remember it like almost like being in solidarity with these figures in the Bible who fasted during a certain period of time. And maybe it was because I was younger, it wasn't as explained to me. But the thought process of like um, suffering, because Jesus suffered. And in that suffering, somehow blessings will come. And it was just like plain like that. And so in that aspect, I didn't see a lot of like reason um, or result. For me, it was just like a communal thing, right? We're fasting together. We meet together, on Wednesdays or whatnot. And, we have this like community. And, as kids, you're like, you just want to see the other kids. You want to, their parents are fasting too. Like, it's just like a community thing. For me, it was in the church. And then like, um, if I take it to like the medium side of it, of like fasting for health, um, I saw results in that, but not lasting results, meaning you would lose the weight when you were doing the fasting. There would be a period where your energy drops off and then it picks back up and your health improves. But once you stop fasting, I found that you like binge out, binge out after the fast and kind of backtrack on some of those results. And then now, when I'm looking at traditions, when I'm fasting, I see like more real time results, meaning clarity. I have lots of clarity. My dreams are more active. Like, I can see, like, you can see the pickup from before the fast, during the fast, and the downtrend after the fast as far as the dream. So it's like more connected. I'm receiving more messages from the divine. In my dreams, I can see that. And then like the goals that I have, I'm able to speak those into existence better. What I say, I'm better able to manifest. I'm better able to manifest during the times that I'm fasting. And what's different about like fasting now versus in religion is that those goals that I'm manifesting, those visions, those messages, they're like they're long lasting, meaning if I'm able to make the changes, if I'm able to manifest these goals push me forward. And so there's like, it's not a sense of when I'm off the fast, I'm backtrack. Like, I push forward. It's like a slingshot. Like a slingshot, you like propel forward, and then once you get to your forward space, the space in progress, then you start walking again in either a slightly faster pace or a pace that's more not, or have gained more wisdom, but you're ahead, right? And you're not necessarily backtracking. You might slow down the pace of your progress because maybe you need to. Maybe you need to absorb the information, the environment, the messages, the lessons in this further time period, but you're like elevated. And so that's what I see for me during the fast. I love you. Yeah.
So, in saying that, so do you think from not previous fasts in other organized religions, because you didn't have that direction as to why you were fasting, I guess it didn't benefit you then versus now that you're an adult and being fasting in a spiritual sense? Um, do you feel like you gain more because you have that direction, i.e., like, so this the fast is for clarity. As a collective we're doing this, however, this is what you're doing it for. You set your intentions because you're an adult now and you see or you understand now versus previous.
That's a
Do
good
you think
question.
that's why you get the clear dreams messages come through better?
No, that's a good question, and I hadn't really thought about it. But if I think about it, um, yes, at some parts, right? Like because I understand the um, because I understand. I want to say suffering, but yeah, the suffering or the sacrifice. I understand now more from what I've learned, that sacrifice and that suffering is not just to be in solidarity with all of the others who suffer. And I understand how I'm receiving blessings because in traditions, we're taught that there's no empty space in existence. And in order for you to pull out of existence, you have to give, right? You have to give in order, you have to first give in order to receive because there's no empty space. So you have to, if you want something, you have to like give to fill that void and then take. And so in our restriction of ourselves, we are giving. We're giving first and then asking to receive, right? And now I understand that science more than it was ever explained to me in organized religion. So my purpose, my mindset is more intent, has more intent. The other part of it, which I think is different, is there's two things. Like, one, because my mindset is different and I understand, like, what I'm connected to is different. Like my connection to source is deeper than it was in organized religion. And not to say that in organized religion you can't find a deep connection to source, but my connection to source is deeper, you know. And so, 'cause, initiations, but even just understanding, like, mentoring, understanding knowledge, doing spiritual work, like my connection is deeper. I have more of a relationship with God, let's say, however you call God. I have more of a relationship with God rather than it being, something that is two or three steps away. I gotta go through the pastor. I gotta go through Jesus. I gotta go through, like, I'm directly connected. And so as I'm going through these processes, as I'm like receiving these messages, I'm able to move in a way that works for me, that's independent for me. I don't have to like follow a certain like we're doing this fast for clarity. Okay, or we're doing this fast to receive, um, monetary blessings, or, like the purpose is not there. Like we're doing a fast now. And the fast is like to be in alignment with the divine. Well, what does that mean for you? And it's no thing that we're is a curation of the fast. Whatever it is you need in your walk is custom to you. And when I understood that more, I was able to get more results out of the fast. I don't need to look for the results that Mama Strong has or that you have. I have to look at my own spiritual journey, and I need to walk that, and I need to find where the progress can be. And that's not so much emphasized. That wasn't so much emphasized in the organized religion that I was in, whether I was a child or not. Like even now, if I would go back, I don't think I would have that connection. So I think that's what's different for me. What about you?
Um, so yes, that it makes sense. Because I always question things in organized religion, and it was never clarified, and I think for me it was hard to go within to find those answers if you didn't have kind of a direction to go in. It was like go here to get the answer. You go there, and then it was like you read this, you go here and get another answer. So for me, it was the same. So knowing that my direct connection to source or is what I have cultivated versus what others have told me that I should do, or watching others along their journey. Um, so yeah, I agree with what you said. But and it's the same for me. It was the same for me.
Welcome in, Janeri. I'm sorry if I butcher that yet again. How are you doing on this Sunday?
Oh, I'm doing well. I'm a little better than the last time. How are you all? I'm sorry I'm joining in late. Um, that's my thing. I'm working on it.
It's all right. You come right on time. You come right on time.
I'm not really sure what we're talking about today. You said fasting. Just anything about
Yes.
fasting?
So on our website, and we also now have a Substack, we've started a blog series. And so different Temple Adepts will be posting blogs on different reflections and things like that. And so yesterday that went live, and I did a reflection on fasting because right now we're in Kadam, which is fasting. And so that topic has been something that's on my mind a lot. So we've just been discussing uh, our familiarity with it, the experiences we've had around fasting.
Um, I don't have a whole lot of experience around fasting outside of it being difficult to maintain. The number of attempts that I may have made in fasting, I found to be I found to be I don't know, I won't say upended, but I would forget. Like, and then the hustle and bustle of the day and end up grabbing something and putting it in my mouth or whatever as I'm moving around. So just catching the back end of what you were just saying. I think I could benefit from that if mental clarity and a little more groundedness comes from that process. It's definitely something that I would like to learn and incorporate a little better. It's like the ancestral thing that we were talking about before. I'm just trying to, I don't know, I would have to figure out how to navigate that. I have not listened to the clip, the link that was on there. I've had my weeks are very busy. Um, but I do want to listen to it. I plan to listen to it hopefully today. And I can have a little bit more insight, I guess, on this topic. Um, if you could remind me though, since it's just us on the line now, what was the suggestion for the fasting? I remember it was cutting out corn and some other things, but just in terms of the time, was it similar to like how they do eat, where like you just only eat when the sun is down, or was there some other stipulation?
Yes. So from sun up to sundown, no eating, and then when you do eat, no meat and no corn are the like uh eating parameters. Agbasi, do you want to fill in um the other parameters around the fast?
Yeah, I think that was, mainly it. It was no eating after, well, before dark or before sundown, but then no eating late and late night, like 11, 12, that kind of thing, eating late night. We're also praying 2 times a day. And what else? No meat, no corn. And then throughout the day, we're drinking water, juices, teas, I believe. Um, yeah, I have to look at the message in the group chat, but I think those are the main parameters.
Okay, I can also take a look back. Okay. I'd like to try it out. When did it begin?
Was it? It was
Yeah.
May 27th to June 25th.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have suggestions for like people who are who are not in spaces where they are able to just totally be in fast mode? Like they have to work, every day and function, and I don't know, I think about how to keep, your vitality and energy up to do the things that we over here in this Western world gotta have to do to maintain every day while fasting.
Uh, um, I don't know, like so we live really busy, busy lives as well. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and we do the best that we can to maintain the parameters of the fast. But in fasting, it's really up to you, right? What
Mm-hmm.
type of result you are trying to achieve will dictate how strict you are, serious you are to the fast, right? Um, we have big goals, we have things that we need to achieve. And so adhering to the fast strictly is really important. But I mean, if you have health issues, if are, on your moon cycle, it's understandable that you have to make some adjustments. But yeah, it's really up to you. Like it's not like I don't know if you've ever come from like the Christian church where it's like you must you must fast in this way. We're gonna let you know the instruction that has come from the divine, but it's up to you and the result or connection you're trying to have, how strict you follow that. So yeah. I don't know. There might be some blessing, or some revelation or some type of, progress that is made through trying to do it while going to work and all the other things. I found that it forces you to deal with yourself um, in those times. So I would send you courage and strength to get through however, with whatever capacity that you can.
I'll go. And one of the things that Mianu always says is start with where you're at, you know? And so if you've never done a fast before, then it can be really hard. It's still possible, but really hard. So if you don't feel like with everything that's going on in your life, you're able to do everything, then trying to find like the next best thing, right? Starting with where you're at. So maybe you do certain amount of hours or um, you know, like it's really about identifying the things that you absolutely need and then seeing the parameters of the fast and how you can bring those two together. Like protein is something that's super important for feeling like full and being able to think clearly and things like that. So being able to find maybe smoothies or being able to find like once you identify what you need to actually function, then that might be able to help put you into a place of how you can also do the fast, if that makes sense. Well, I feel like
I'll go. Shinyeri, I remember from last time that you were initiated into Ifa, right? Was that right?
Yes.
Okay. Do in your traditions is there periods of fasting and how is that seen?
So since we spoke the last time, I really went on a quest of information because I was like really trying to figure out if I missed some steps somewhere. And no, that wasn't something that was that came up. I inquired in the Akan lineage that I practice as well as the Ifa system that and I was really surprised. I'm like, okay, so if I'm really going to dig into this ancestral stuff, it's going to probably have to be here because it just didn't exist for them. What I thought you might find interesting because I was trying to decide if I would share it since it's just us. um, in the Akan system, I remembered after we got off, and it was confirmed through conversation with multiple priests that I had learned from in that system that when people pass away in that culture, it is more, it's so interesting. I'll just say interesting. That's the word I'll use. When you pass away, after the period of funeral, there's like this 40-day right period for transition where you're not supposed to call their names. If people had children, their children are reassigned a new parent. If it's a mother, they're reassigned a mother in the family. If it's a father, they're reassigned a father in the family. Um, Having passed away, they call it gone to the village and not coming back. Okay, and they're not supposed to say their names again. There's a period that they call Kwesi, which comes every 42 days. And during that period, you can acknowledge the ancestors, and only during that time or during the Algeria time of the year are you able to. There's a day during the Algeria, which is like the yam harvest yearly, where there is a day on a Wednesday, always a Wednesday, called Wukudai, and they hold the ancestors up that day. It's a day of crying. They're able to cry. They can lament, have whatever, feelings and communication that they want about that, but they're not expected to do it throughout the year outside of that. In the Ifa system, it was confirmed that, the Egungun, the ancestral icon or masquerade are the tools that they use for venerating the ancestors, but outside of that, there's not a practice of like connecting um, with individual ancestors. They're buried usually under the houses when they are deceased, and they don't have particular normal practices of engaging outside of through divination if it comes up or what have you, or they can make an offering to the ancestral icons or just through festival when they have the masquerades dance around. And so I wasn't missing it. I was wondering. I was like, I had to really like channel in on that and go back, and then it was confirmed. So, but I think as I don't know, as a diasporian, as I'll call myself, I think there's just so much space for so much more. I think because we are mixed up and we come from so many lineages and we don't know, I think filling in those voids, I think, is so much of an important thing for our practice. I can't say directly that, I come from a lineage for voodoo practice or answer, but it's something that I have an interest in, so I know that it is connected with me. So I need to figure out the next step. I don't have the financial means to join the God Sister group or Goddaughter group at this time. But I'm working on getting myself into a place where I can meditate at ease. And that's not an easy thing for me. As you see, I don't have a lot of quiet moments around me um, at all. I'm a accidental single parent again. I have older children. I have a 23-year-old and an 18-year-old. Um, I thought I was finished raising children, and then God blessed me with another one. And that marriage didn't succeed. So I'm here again, and I'm trying to navigate this new space and working and having this child and trying to fulfill my spiritual needs. And so it's a challenge, but I'm here for it. I'm trying to navigate it, and not always successful, but at heart I'm trying to figure it out. So when I have the means, I do plan to try to join. Until then, I will start small and just work on that meditative piece. And if you have any other suggestions for me, I'm open. Um, but the fasting part, no. I remember as a younger child, we used to fast for what was called the equinox, I think they called it. Um, and that was not watching television. We didn't do TV. We didn't go out and overexert and out external things outside of the home. I remember my mother and the others, they would meditate a lot. I couldn't get into it even then. I was younger, but we ate fruit. That was the fast. We did fruit, we did juices. We didn't eat any foods, nothing cooked outside of the fruit. I think on the last day, I think, who's that? I think the adults, if I recall, did about 7 days. The children, we did about 3 days. On the last day, we were able to do like salads and stuff like that. Or maybe we did salads the whole time, but that was really it. And at that young age, I was just against it. I didn't understand it. I don't think they really did a really great job of explaining why we were doing the things we did back then, which was probably why I did probably kick back a lot. But so I mean, I have a general understanding of what fasting can look like, but it's not something that I've implemented well outside of maybe doing like colon cleanses and stuff as an adult. And that kind of forces you not to eat anyway because you don't want to end up in the bathroom. But yeah, so I don't know. That's my fasting response. Um, I don't know. I'm really trying to figure it out. Would with what you described, would coffee be something that could, generally be involved to keep energy up while you're moving through the day? I just
So for this fast, we're not doing coffee. So
okay.
just like teas and tea, maybe tea if you like tea.
Okay.
But again, like Mashron said, start where you are. And I would think if you needed more clarity on your spiritual path or connecting with ancestors or, going deeper in your practices, maybe a fast could be beneficial to helping you gain clarity on those things. So
I agree. Just in the details of putting it together and making it stick. But yeah, I'm certain it will be beneficial. Thank you.
I'll go. One of the things that came up when you had asked if we had any other suggestions is It sounds like maybe picking a day or maybe a specific time each week to do some type of practice, whether that be trying to meditate or doing a fast. But I think maybe just starting to have some type of consistent practice that works well with the schedule that you have right now would be the most helpful. I think a lot of times in the West, we feel pressured to make these big drastic changes. And if we can't do everything, then like might as well not do anything. When it's really, if we're thinking about nature and nature's model, everything grows incrementally. It starts as a seed, and then you get a little sprout, and then you get a stem, and then some leaves, and then eventually you get to fruit. And that's just like the regular plants. But if you think about bamboo, you see no signs of any type of growth for, I believe it's like 5 years. And then out of nowhere, it shoots up and it becomes really, really tall. And so I think if we think of ourselves like plants, it can be a lot more helpful in starting to figure out what it is that we need to be able to grow. And in the particular season that you're in right now, because you're very busy, you have a little one. And so you might not be able to spend hours meditating, but I'm sure maybe you could find 5 to 15 minutes somewhere to be able to squeeze in doing something. And the more that you honor that time, more, it'll expand. But just doing what you can, I think, will help to ground you and make you feel better and um, give you something to look forward to because like as mothers, as Black women, we're pouring into everyone else, and then we get the last little droplets, and sometimes it's just like, oh, because the water that we were serving somebody else splashed onto us. Like, no, we are people too. We need to treat ourselves as such important as well. So I definitely would task you to try to find a day, a time that you can consistently show up for yourself. And so next Sunday, when you hop on the call, I'm going to ask you what time you picked. Okay?
The pressure's on.
Light pressure,
But
a
no,
massage,
this
if
is
you
something I've
will.
been working on though. Self-care, just trying to pick, a time. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you. I could use that accountability check-in. So I
Okay, we'll
appreciate
do then, love. Miss Angel Drake, welcome, welcome. How you doing? We are discussing fasting. So we had the blog post go up yesterday, and I did a reflection on fasting. And so we're just talking about our familiarity with it, our experiences, what's been coming up for us right now. So if you want to jump in and add anything, feel free.
I go. Hello, sisters. Hello, ladies. Um, for me, man, this fast has been something. Um, just been working things out. It's been trying. I definitely had days where it didn't quite go as planned. Um, but I think I had more better days than not. And so definitely better than the last fast. So like you said, Mama Shroom, those uh that growth and that constant just practicing, we get better and better. And so um I've been really like it's been fun kind of it's helped me set some boundaries and get on top of things and um setting good examples for the kids. We've all been drinking the smoothies. They hear me blending stuff, and so they putting in orders and grabbing fruit and like, hey mom, what about this and this mix? So I'm like, okay, let's try it. I'm always up for something new. So, adding a little go to cola and in there and just blending some things, ashwagandha, the sea moss, getting them to eat those things that they wouldn't normally just put in a drink or something. So that's been nice. Doing some nice parasite cleanses. I've been listening to a podcast and they were talking about different parasites and the fact that I keep it on speaker, right? And so my little grandkids, and he's only 5, and he said, sometimes I feel like that. I said, do you? You feel like that sometimes? He said, that means I got worms in my body. I said, it might. He said, well, Grandma, can you make me the drink that he talking about? I said, yeah, I can make you that drink. We can get them out. He said, I don't want those in my body. I said, me neither. Let's make a drink. So making those smoothies, and the fact that he's just going with it, he's initiating, he's into it. He was really listening. Like, I just thought he was just kind of, in my space, and I was just folding clothes and stuff. And he was just like, he was listening, like, I feel like that. So I know he was paying attention, but just being able to have that in the atmosphere and them recognizing things in their own bodies and wanting to heal, and are turning to those things without me having to say, here, take this, is good for you. They're like initiating and, recognizing things in their bodies and behavior even. And I was like, okay. I said, well, let's take some. So I think that has been the most positive thing. Like, I just love that interaction. And if he's learned that at 5, oh man, what more is to come, So I'm just so excited for that and their growth and my growth as well. I love it, I love it, I love
I go. You always have the most like encouraging stories. I love hearing about what's going on with your family and especially the little ones and how they are just growing and blossoming and like really becoming the vision and hope that we have for the future. So definitely good job. Good job on all that you're doing. Drop the link or the name of that podcast because I know more of us would love to like hear that and get that recipe. What have you been feeling like internally during the fast? Goodness, I'm struggle busing here. What have you been feeling internally? What shifts have been happening? What have you been noticing? Feel like a few Sundays ago we were talking about some of your spiritual gifts. Like, have you noticed anything shifting with that as you've been doing the fast?
Well, with my altar being in a state of flux, I've had trouble like actually meditating in that sense. Um, so I haven't seen my growth in that, but I haven't worked in that area. Um, so I'm hoping for maybe I need to make more time for that and really dive into setting some time aside um, for the meditation aspect. We're getting I gotten things closer. I did get a space, so now it's like, okay, I need to make some time for that and really focus in on that because that's something I do want. I would like that growth and to um, really be able to commune with my ancestors a little bit better. I love you, love you, love you.
Hear you. I hear you. It is definitely a challenge as we try to fit all the different pieces together and give each area the right amount of attention and focus. So I definitely will be sending you some energy towards that for you to be able to find a time and space for you to be able to protect that and engage because I know that it is going to enliven things and you and your ancestors are going to be happy as well. But is there any way that we can be supporting you trying to find that time?
These spaces help. I can center myself. I look forward to Sundays, and being in these spaces. So the holding space here is a lot big, great support. Knowing that I can get on this call and, we started with breath and things like that. That's helpful. The words of power is really helpful too. Knowing that's every night and I can, set an alarm and be there and be like, okay, is and actually the time is not bad. It's crazy because at first I was like, oh, the time is, that's not a great time for me. But then it's like, oh, actually this is a better time than any. The house, this is the quietest time of my house. So, it's crazy how just recognize that as what we think in our minds, like, oh, that's not good, or I can't do that, or it's not going to work. But really, spirit moves in such a way, and you realize, like, oh, that actually is a good time, um, to do things like that. So, just trying to stay out of my own way, be led by spirit and actually follow spirit, because they're always trying to guide us and point us in the right direction. And a lot of times we're like, oh, but, and just recognizing a little more like, take the butt out of there, get out of your own way, be led, take their hand, you know. So, uh, yeah, I can't think of anything else that you guys could possibly do. I love the podcasts and the spaces that you guys hold. And yeah, I think that's plenty for me.
Okay. If anything comes up, definitely put in the chat and let us know. And then we also do have on our YouTube some meditation videos, some affirmation videos. So that could also be nice to just pop on in the middle of the week if you want a little guided session. And maybe after, the daily words of power ends, maybe that'll end up morphing into your meditation or your altar time. Because yeah, sometimes being